Hello. Before I get into the topic of work, I think it's worth highlighting the UK government's recent decision regarding the post of Disability Minister. A few weeks ago, the government decided to get rid of the post, and then it decided to appoint a Minister for Disabled People, Health and Work. As well as the implication that disabled people don't deserve a dedicated minister, this job title suggests that disabled people are only worthy of representation in the context of employment. I have a big problem with that, and I know I'm not alone. As a late diagnosed autistic person going through post-diagnosis grief and general despair about the world, I find work to be more challenging than ever. Realising that I'm autistic has made me reevaluate work and my employment history. When I was 15, I did a work experience placement a few weeks before I started my first job at Woolworths Cafe. My supervisor was a man called R. Sol. Coincidentally, in various workplaces since then, I've met quite a few R. Sols. I don't know whether I've been treated badly at work because I'm autistic, because people are willfully unpleasant, or both. The National Autistic Society states that there are many barriers to working, such as understanding, discrimination, and other barriers unique to each autistic person. In my previous video, I spoke about trauma, and likewise, there are certain workplace episodes that regularly haunt me. A couple of years after I graduated from uni, I did a temp job at a local council, and I was bullied by a woman who worked there, to the point that I hid in a stock cupboard and cried my eyes out. She used me as a tea boy and would tell me to remake her tea if it wasn't the right shade of brown. I wonder whether she instinctively knew that I was autistic and therefore had license to be a demon, though of course only when no one else was around. There was strike action during the 3 months that I worked at the council, not because I worked there, though thinking about it. And I remember her on the picket line pretending to be one for all and all for one. She was horrendous, and I hate that she still lives in my brain. In another job, a few years later, I accidentally upset people by giving honest feedback about an online system that wasn't fit for purpose. My superiors had explicitly asked for feedback when I started the job. As an autistic person, I took this literally. And again, I hate that I regularly think about people who pretend that they're interested in anything other than themselves. After that job, I worked on a sustainable transport project, and very reasonably, I decided to cycle to work, as the office was several miles away, and I thought that I should practice what my colleagues and I were preaching. However, one of my colleagues took exception to this. Apparently, I was making some colleagues feel bad by cycling to work. One of my other colleagues used to drive to his house for lunch, and then drove back to work. As far as I know, no one told him off for this. Another thing he did is check his phone during meetings. I'm absolutely certain that if I'd done that, I would have been told off. In my previous, otherwise fine job, my manager said in my appraisal that I should try harder to socialise with the rest of the team. This was very annoying, as I had been trying. I now realise that my appraisal was effectively a judgment on my ability to hyperfocus and my aversion to small talk. In preparation for this video, I did what I think most people would do. I googled autism work. One of the first results is to question what is the best job for autism, and the answer is, apparently, computer science is a good choice because it is very likely that many of the best programmers have either Asperger's syndrome or some of its traits. Other good majors are accounting, engineering, library science and art, with an emphasis on commercial art and drafting. I've had several very different jobs and none of them have been in computer science. And why are people still referring to autism as a syndrome? Autism is not a disorder or a syndrome, it's a difference. Another Google work autism question is, what are the work problems with autism? And the answer we are given is, in the workplace, this might mean things like not being able to tell if a person is busy, appearing to dominate meetings, or not being aware if colleagues seem stressed or frustrated. Many people also struggle with working out unwritten social rules. Well, I definitely agree with the point about unwritten rules. It seems that one of those unwritten rules is that neurotypical people reserve the right to pathologise autistic people and treat them badly, based on a misplaced sense of superiority and/or an individual brand of spite and sadism. And if that's the case, who are the people with deficits here? So if we're going to talk about workplace problems for autistic people, let's talk about discrimination. Let's talk about random hierarchies. Let's ask questions about work. Let's make changes. It doesn't have to be like this. Thank you for listening, and take care.